Hello, Cancer. Welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. If Cancer is your sun, moon, or rising sign, this is your tarot card reading. Please hit the like button, leave a comment, consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. It is totally free. It does not cost you anything. If there's something you would like me to pray over, or meditate upon, or send positive energy toward, please let me know. Now, this is going to be a timeless reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I might provide. And remember, Cancer, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. And, of course, Cancer would get the Lover's card, right? Put your pitchforks away. This doesn't necessarily mean romance, okay? It could very well mean that. To me, what it means is inspiration. It means that we're certain about what we're striving for, that we know what we are in love with, and we are making the decision to unite with it. And it could be a romantic partnership, it could be a certain kind of life, a certain kind of living, a certain kind of love, right? But it is a true love. And we are making that decision to go after it with everything we've got, right? It's a commitment, it's a choice, really. And I feel like this is really an inspiration. I feel like we're getting hit with Cupid's arrow, and we're inspired to go after this thing. Now let's see what this thing might be, or see where it's leading, or anything else like that we can gather from the tarot here. We've got a 4 of Wands. That's interesting. An 8 of Wands. 4 of Cups. Seems like we have to close something else off first. There's something that you're not yet done with, okay, before we set out on this new kind of love, this new quest. There's something that we have to finish up, okay? There's some loose ends. Yeah, look at that. Now we've got a 6. That's really nice. And the Knight of Pentacles. We have that vision of the future. We know what this is going to be, but I feel like there's something that's kind of tying us back still. And it could be just some closure in a relationship. It could be the ending of one thing in order for us to begin this new thing. Okay? And I do feel like you're getting really anxious to do this. So I feel like this is in your very near future where you will be tying up the loose ends, finding the closure in this past situation, which could be some sort of emotional situation for sure with a 4 of Cups, right? Now we got a 4 of Pentacles. Look at that, 4, 4, and 4. We're ready to begin that new journey, right? Closing up this emotional thing, and this could be just some emotional processing that you have to do, right? Getting emotionally prepared to grab the wheel, right? And to set out from what is a comfortable home base here. I feel like we're really opening the doors. Oh, look at that. We've got to open the doors to this new future. Empress in the position of the environment. And we've got a Prince of Wands. And final card, 10 of Pentacles. We are arriving at that future. So I do think that we're preparing ourselves to open this door to this really extraordinary future. Which really... The Emperor, you can't get better than the Empress. It's really that kind of that paradise life, that dream life that we know if we contribute our own effort, that this life, this universe will respond, in kind. Will harmonize with us. So this is that kind of life that the more you put into it, the more you get out of it, right? The more you contribute, the more you benefit. Yeah. And this is in your environment, so I feel like you're making a lot of kind of decisions, a lot of choices, setting a lot of intentions for what kind of environment you want, right? What do you want to surround yourself with? Okay. And I think in order to get that kind of ideal life, we really need to close up some situation that's already has started, because there's something now that it's kind of... it's in need of the change. We're ready to get going from this thing. Okay? And with the fire and water here, it might even be something, it's something of a career change possibly, especially if we're moving into some of the earth energy up here too. But let's select the mystery card. bonus card, confirmation card. This is a random card from the Smith-Waite Tarot. This is the factor infinite and unknown. We're going to put Bob Ross right on top. Happy little Bob. And we're not going to look at that card until the very end, but it will tie everything together. And it will give us the confirmation that we need. Now, if at any point during this program you feel like you know what that card is, I want you to put your prediction down in the comments below. Okay? I think doing it as an exercise in intuition is a pretty good idea. Okay? Let's take a look around. We know we have our two major arcana energies. We have the inspiration, we have the commitment, the decision. We've got the determination, the will. We know what we want to connect with, and we're really we've really taken that oath, right? We've married ourselves to that love, to that commitment, whatever it might be. And then with the Empress, this is what we've committed ourselves to. Now, the Empress could represent a lot of things. This, first of all, is that kind of ideal life. That's very general, right? The kind of life that, if you put your will into it, then you will get out, the kind of equal proportion of energy. But this could be anything. This could be a family thing. This could be that career that really fulfills you. This could be literally an environment, moving somewhere that is more suited to your soul. This could be a lot of different things. But this is that Empress, that ideal of beauty and love and pleasure and support and nurturing, right? That we are striving for. And so as yet, I don't know what this is. I'm sure you do, because we've got these cards here. And we've got that 10 of Pentacles at the end. And I think this is really important too. It's up here at the last card, because this represents that ideal life, but in detailed form. Knowing what this is to you, right? If the Empress is the kind of abstract theoretical energy, or the spiritual, let's say the spiritual idea of what your best life is, what your ideal kind of paradise life, this is you actually knowing the details of that life. And what, the color of the wallpaper, that sort of thing. Knowing exactly how it's going to manifest. Okay, and this, of course, will change. The further along we get on the path, we're going to make some revisions. Okay, but for starters, I would like you to get out a sheet of paper, get out a pencil, draw a picture of your best life. Or, if you're like me, you can't draw, just make a list. I don't have very good handwriting either. But do what you can. Put it down on paper, but use a pencil. Because the further along you go, every couple days, every couple weeks or months, you'll want to go back and kind of revise things, because you'll get a more clear vision of your path the further along we go. And so this ideal, this goal, this big, great goal that we have is going to change a little bit. But the Empress as this eternal spiritual force, this will never change, because this represents simply the very best version of life that you could imagine. The details of which will change the further along the path we get, see? So we have our majors. We've got fire, fire, and fire. We've got just a little bit of water, not a lot of water at all. We don't have any air energy. And then we've got our earth, 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 and earth. So to me, there's the abundance of the fire energy and there's the abundance of the earth energy. This really is about setting the intention, finding that fiery passion within you, that confidence, that assertiveness, that vision, right? That sense of power, that sense of, I can do this. I can have my very best life, right? And I think what we're doing is we're unlocking the door. We're realizing through the Four of Wands right here in the middle, because this, remember, this was the first card, and this was the card that came out on top of it. We're realizing that the pursuit of our ideal, the inspiration to commit ourselves to our true love, whatever it might be, has to be initiated immediately. There's no delaying this. When you're hit with that arrow, you can't say, can we do it after lunch? It has to start now. So the Four of Wands is really the idea of terrestrial time. schedules and systems and things that have to work in an orderly way. Spirit doesn't work that way. When you get hit with that arrow, it's kind of like you get the call. Spirit says, we got to go now. This door is opening to your new future. We've got to step through it. Okay? And I think that I think you're ready for it. I really do. I think there is something that we have to tie up. There's some loose end here with the Four of Cups in the background. I don't know if this has something to do with a family thing or if there was some kind of, I almost feel like there was an illness somewhere in the family. Either you were sick or someone that you care about had a little bit of a medical thing. And I don't know if you were there as a caregiver or if you're helping to support somebody else or if maybe you needed that kind of rest to recover from something. But I kind of feel like it's a family member. Yeah, when I said that there was some kind of an emotional thing that we had to get closure on or we had to wrap it up or we're waiting for that to kind of to finish its cycle, it does feel like a family member is going through something and you're kind of there as support for them. Okay, so that's the one thing I think that's holding us from really moving forward in this new, and it's not really, because we can do both things at once, you know. The idea here, though, is with the Eight of Wands, there is this growing feeling of, I need to move, you know. It's kind of the feeling when we have something very exciting waiting for us at home, you know. We just bought a new toy and it's waiting for us at home, but we're at work or we're at school and we can't go home and play with the toy because we're here. That's the feeling of the Eight of Wands. We are just bursting with excitement, you know, but we have to keep it contained. And I think it's good that it stays contained because what we're trying to do is focus it in a very specific direction here. Yeah, focusing it towards that Empress, towards that Ten of Pentacles. Now I want to mention the Knight of Pentacles here. The Knight of Pentacles is the one that takes all of this fire energy and uses it as kind of an X-ray vision, is able to see into the future. And you know what the Knight of Pentacles, I say this all the time, do you know what they're looking at? They're looking at the Ten of Pentacles. They're looking at the vision of the future. They're seeing through that doorway. They kind of have the X-ray vision where they can see through the door, if this is the door. They can see through the door and see what the best life is going to be. They're looking at this picture way off into the future, maybe shorter or longer duration, I don't know. I don't think it's that far away, but on that note, it's an ongoing process. Let's not assume that suddenly we arrive in paradise and that's it. There's nothing else to do. It's an ongoing striving. Okay, it's an ongoing path. It's a work that continues, and it may happen in cycles, right? Because we see a lot of the cycles here with the fours, you know. It happens in cycles. It happens in stages, but there's always more work to do. The cycle will always begin again. Okay, and the Knight, looking at the Ten of Pentacles, can see in the distance all the details. I can imagine everything now. And then really from that, the Knight of Pentacles kind of constructs like a scale model of something, you know, in order to kind of to have that vision and to be able to look at it and plan for it. Because what we realize through the Knight of Pentacles is that everything we do right now in this moment is affecting our future self, our future life, who we are, where we are, what we're doing, why we're doing it, how we're doing it. It's kind of a karma thing. And so we reverse engineer that. We say, okay, what's the result that I want? Okay, got that. What do I need to do right now? Every choice, every thought, word, and deed right now is either helping us or hindering us from getting to that Empress, from feeling that Empress energy and getting to that Ten of Pentacles life. And that goes, of course, right back to the Lover's card. Because this is the choice, this is the commitment, this is the inspiration, and now every thought, word, and deed is determined by this. Are you being true to this commitment or not? Is this choice, this thought, word, and deed, is it helping me to get this union that I want, that I need, that I feel? Or is it not helping me? And so it's by this standard that we're able to judge all of our decisions. Everything that we do. Okay. And that kind of brings up a side issue because we have to, there are a lot of things that we kind of have to do. You don't have to, but you kind of have to. We have responsibilities. We all do. I think this is an example of that. This Four of Cups. This is a responsibility you have to someone. Okay, someone I think who, I don't know if they're sick, but I feel like they're in need. Like they need you with them right now. Yeah. We have responsibilities, but we could say, well, doing this is just taking time away from me pursuing my goals. Let's look at it a different way. It's all about perspective. Whatever we are responsible for doing, whatever we kind of have to do, it's still a choice, but, there's no way we can just leave this situation. Let's look at those things and let's make, even if it's kind of a stretch, let's make an indirect connection to our will, to our goal, to our inspiration, to our love, to our dream, to our path, right? Let's find a way to make this part of that path. Well, this is teaching me patience. This is teaching me responsibility. This is teaching me compassion. And all of those things are going to be useful on my path. Therefore, this is part of my path. Okay? But we have to be very careful with that because then we can start making excuses for a lot of other things that we are doing, right? So we be careful with that. And I guess really the judge of all of it is going to be the Six of Pentacles. Does everything feel that it's in harmony? Does something feel kind of out of whack, out of balance? Right now, I feel like every day is kind of the best day of your life because you are in harmony with your will, because you are following your path, because every thought, word, and deed is directly or indirectly assisting you getting to your best life, right? We've opened that door now and we've stepped through, which means now we're not doing anything that's not in some way. Everything is kind of focused on that future, the future that you want, the ideal future. I don't know what it is. Spirit's telling me that you had a lot of supernatural experiences when you were a kid, like literal stuff, like paranormal activity kind of stuff, And I believe that has instilled in you a belief in the unseen, right? And that a kind of a certainty about the more subtle side of life, yeah. And I think that might be why we don't have any swords cards here. We don't have any real air energy at all, except the Lover's card, which is the Gemini energy. But I think there's no swords cards here because there's no doubt. There's no feeling of having to figure everything out. It's not a figuring. It's not a math problem. It's a feeling, right? It's not a mental exercise. It's an intuition. It's a gut feeling, yeah. And I think that this really has a lot to do with your trust in the divine, trust in the unseen, yeah. I think you also tend to have a lot of these revelatory moments, like I think maybe you have some prophetic dreams, you have visions, you have, I must think you do some kind of like automatic writing or something like that where spirit kind of speaks through you. Maybe you're a medium or a channel of some kind, yeah. Because I feel like sometimes this sort of prophecy, comes through you. And I don't know if you've had that experience about your own life or if that's something that you kind of are doing for other people. Yeah. Anyway, the Four of Pentacles. Let's go to the path of the Serpent here. Also, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. It's totally free. All right. And leave a comment and let me know how you're doing. We've got the Four of Pentacles down here, and this is kind of your general energy. One, I think this is an energy that says, I'm ready for change. I'm ready to open the doors here. I'm ready to get out of this Four of Pentacles life. Now, the Four of Pentacles life is wonderful, right? Because it is safe and secure and stable. Because it is protected. There's it's kind of like we've got some job security here. Yeah. And when you have job security, it's really, really challenging to take a gamble and leap somewhere else. Yeah. Because this is, you've been in this situation for a long time. So I don't know if this is really a career move for you or if it's just more of a general, like, intentional living. where, yeah, it's going to affect your job and your career situation, possibly someday. It's going to affect your relationships. It's going to affect where you live, how you live, what you do. It's going to affect your spiritual practices, right? Because it's a life path. It's not just a career path. It's not just a love or family path. It's not just a spiritual path. It is a life path, right? It is the Tao of you. And I think that it's important we recognize where we might be afraid of change. Let's recognize those places in our life where we feel kind of safe and secure and we don't want to have any changes because, well, then we're putting this safe thing at risk. Well, that limits our progress, I think. I think with that card, you're ready. I think with the Eight of Wands, too, you're ready to open the doors. You're ready to open the doors to this Empress energy and let it in. Let this magic, let this beauty, let the kind of natural spiritual world fill you up, fill this space that you're in. And, of course, with the Prince of Wands, we're ready to get going. This is you really getting a move on with things. Yeah. Spirit's telling me that you bought something recently and it didn't work as it was supposed to. I don't know if it broke, but it just didn't function the right way. And it's something that it's really weird. You're thinking about returning, but you almost just kind of say, well, I think I'm just going to keep it. Just to avoid the hassle of driving back to the store or packing it up to send it to Amazon or whatever it is, right? But it doesn't work the way it was supposed to. So why would you keep it? But there's a reluctance to return it. I don't know if it's not worth the gas money or something, And I guess that kind of makes sense here because it's just, again, it's kind of a Four of Pentacles. It's not really what I want, but I don't feel like going and doing the work to return. It's not really worth the trade-off, right? The difference, however, is that what we are trading off in this case, and I don't think it's really a trade-off, but we're evolving out of the Four of Pentacles and we're getting more into a world that is filled with this Empress energy. And this is nature, this is spirit, this is really kind of everything outside of you now. You have this love relationship with it. Now, your whole life is filled with love, right? From the plants to the animals to the, people. You're having deeper connections with everything. Yeah. And this is really, I think, just kind of a side effect of knowing that you're on your path, knowing that you've opened up this spiritual portal, this doorway to the future, this doorway to your ideal life. And now it's kind of like there's an underlying joy and pleasure in everything, even the mundane stuff. Even whatever the Four of Cups is, even the kind of the drudgery of our day jobs or something, we find pleasure in these things. We're not angry with anything. We're accepting life as it is. We're accepting everything that comes our way because we view everything, even the problems, even the traffic, even the flies or whatever, the pests. We're viewing all of them as kind of necessary parts of the whole. My daughter asked me the other day, Daddy, are flies pests? And I said, well, some people call them pests, yeah, because they, kind of fly around in your face and they tickle your face and they land on food and we don't want that and stuff. But they're not really pests. They're a point of consciousness. They're a living thing and they have a function in the part of the whole. Now, we don't really like to look at that function. We don't, most of us, I guess, don't tend to see the beauty in what the flies do with their lives. Some people do. But we recognize that everything is part of the whole, even what we would consider the gross, or the beautiful. There really is no difference. It's because of those flies that what we consider beautiful is beautiful to us. And some people think the flies and what they do is beautiful, right? And in a way, it truly is. Because it's all part of this functioning whole, living, breathing organism that is, the collective universe, right? Everything is a point of consciousness. I look at my cat sometimes, and sometimes I can feel the spirit behind the eyes, like looking at me. You ever have that experience? And I think that's kind of what the Empress is bringing you, is a little bit of appreciation for everything in life. Yeah, because we're opening up the doorway to this really extraordinary future, which in some ways we're kind of afraid to get started on. This is the Prince of Wands. It's in the position of the obstacle. And I think the obstacle is really getting going. Yeah, the obstacle might even be to realize that we are already going. Sometimes we feel that we're stuck here, and this is our obligation, this is our commitment. Maybe this is a family thing. Like I said, it could be some, responsibilities that you have to, friends or family members, something like that. But we feel this anxiety, like I can't wait to get out of here so I can go do my work and live my spiritual life. But that's kind of missing the point. Right? Because our spiritual life isn't something we just do at home or wherever, right? We're here, let's say we're here taking care of grandma, right? That is our spiritual life. That is part of this whole path that we're on. And we feel yet this anxiety is that I can't wait to leave here so I can go home and do my practices, the formal part of my spirituality. So I can go to this other place and do these intentional activities that are very directly related to building my future. I can't wait to go get the hammer and the nail and really start putting things together. But doing all this other stuff in your life is teaching you other things: patience, compassion, and appreciate gratitude. All these kinds of qualities that are assisting you on your path, but we only have to look at them that way. Right, to see them. And it goes back to like what I like to say about just kind of anonymous acts of kindness, random kindness, right? Some of us might think, well, what's the point? The point is to practice being kind to everything until that kind of kindness is part of your nature. Now, I'm not saying that everybody has to be nice all the time, but if we practice kindness and gratitude, even just to strangers, then it changes the way we perceive the world. Okay, and, maybe it builds up a little bit of good karma for us too. You never know. But I'm definitely not one of these people that think everybody just needs to be nice all the time. Okay, but we should be kind all the time, right? And I think there's a difference there. But back to the Ten of Pentacles one last time. This is the details of that best life. And I think you really are getting the vision of what this is. Because we have that Knight of Pentacles too. You're really seeing what this is going to look like, and we're making the commitment and we're inspired to do it. And I think this is all aspects of your life. Where do you want to live? Who do you want to live with? What kind of experience do you want to have? What is your spiritual how important is your spiritual practice in your life, in your overall life, right? The intimate relationships, closeness with family, friends, all of these things. The Six of Pentacles really is that that unbelievable harmony that we feel. And I don't know how often we feel it, but when we do, it's like it's bliss, And this is just kind of in the middle of a random scenario. You just kind of stop, and you're just blinded by this light, by this feeling in your soul that everything is perfect in this moment, And then your ears open up and you start hearing people talk again, and then the world kind of goes moving on. This is a spiritual experience that just kind of happens to us. We just get hit with this divine light, and it's just, it's kind of validating your path a little bit. It's confirming some of your intentions, Spirit's also showing me a very kind of an intricate piece that you wear around your neck. It's very important to you. It's some kind of a religious symbol. I don't know if it's a crucifix. Maybe it's a Tibetan prayer wheel like mine. But it's something that I feel like it's on a shorter chain. It's a little bit more delicate than my clunky thing here. But it's very important to you. And I think it's kind of a reminder to you, even though I don't think you really look at it very often, because it's usually in a shirt or, but it's very meaningful to you. And it's there to remind you that you are always on your spiritual path, even when you're sleeping, right? Always. Let's look at the mystery card. I would like this to be some good water energy. Yeah, I would like to see, of course, a 9 or a 10 of cups. Maybe we'll get the Chariot card showing kind of the activation of your true self, the awareness of your true self in this life, in this work. Might even be something like the Eon card or the Judgment card. Because that's showing kind of a reawakening. That's showing a rebirth. It's the doorway to the future, really, like literally, you know? So I'm kind of thinking it's going to be the Judgment card. If you have a prediction, I want you to put it down in the comments. Okay. What else could it be? I don't know. Let's take a look. Oh, of course, it's the World card. Of course it is. This literally is talking about the future. And it's talking about kind of the lifting of all restrictions, the lifting of all restraints, the opening up of the possibilities of your future. It's also talking about the kind of the wholeness of life, where everything is perfect as it is. Everything fits into place. Right? Everything is necessary. Yeah. It's talking about the expansion of consciousness. Yeah. It's talking about the unmanifest, unlimited, infinite space. And of course, we have the 10 of Pentacles, right? Which is limited space, which is details, refinement. This is everything is one, right? There is no differentiation. And this, of course, is, well, I'm differentiating things. I'm picking things out of the infinite that I want for me on my path. You know, that maybe that spirit reveals to you as part of your path, right? But we know that there's the other side of thing, and it's kind of it's the apprehension of the infinite. You know, it's the union with God, goddess, deity, with the infinite universe, right? With the absolute. So it's kind of as if we've got a terrestrial, earthy will or purpose or destiny. We have a cosmic spiritual destiny as well, which is kind of reuniting with the whole, reuniting with, you know, what we call God, goddess, deity, whatever you want to call it, right? Spirit, source. So kind of we have two paths that we're on in life. You know, and I think this is a good reminder of that. It's also the reminder that we do need to have discipline and focus, and that's what we really need with the Lover's energy, because it is through the binding of ourselves to this path that we're going to achieve our goals, that we're going to attain these spiritual experiences and these terrestrial experiences. So I really think that the World card reminds us, one, to see everything as being part of the whole, to always try to expand our consciousness. And the more we expand our consciousness, everything that we are aware of, everything that we experience becomes part of us. Okay? And then we can treat the world as we would treat ourselves, yeah, because there's no difference. We're the same thing. But this is also, yeah, it's a call for that kind of discipline. We have to tighten our belts. We have to really buckle down. We have to constrain ourselves. We have to draw a circle around our consciousness in a way and say, this is where I'm working. You know? We're not limiting our conscious awareness of the universe, but at the same time, we do have to kind of draw a circle on the floor and say, this is where I'm working right now. This is where I'm focused on. And it's all for this purpose. So we do need discipline. We do need restraint. Okay? And I think that this is really, it's important for you in order to stay on the path. You know, so we've got to be organized. We've got to have some sort of a schedule or a kind of an itinerary of our life so that we can stay focused, that we can stay on track even when our mind kind of wants to wander in all of these infinite directions and experience all of the world, yes. But we also need to to be a little bit strict with ourselves, I guess. Yeah. Anyway, we're going to do an extended reading. If you want to stick around, there's a link up top. There's a link down below. New readings for Cancer every Tuesday and Friday, 6 a.m. Chicago time. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. It is totally free. It doesn't cost anything. Leave a comment for me. Let me know where in the world you're watching from. I want you to know that you're the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you and I love you. And we're all in this together.